The Premier League is finally back after quite a good international break. We will be covering it and going over the game week 12 Premier League matches. So the standout matches being Newcastle versus Man City and Arsenal versus Tottenham. So let's get straight into it. Now Burnley versus Chelsea is the first match coming up. Now this match could end up being pretty decent, so let's get started with Burnley. They've not been doing too well so far, I can't lie. They have been scoring more goals, which is a positive on their side, but defensive side, it just needs to be a little bit better because they're just sitting above the relegation zone in 17th place at the moment. Last game they played West Ham and they lost 3-2. Kyle Walker-Peters scoring the winner in that game. He scored in the 87th minute. Now Burnley are getting better every game in terms of results, you could say, but yeah, maybe they could get something out of this. I doubt it though. On to Chelsea, they've been doing quite decent so far this season. I do believe they started the season a little bit rough, but they managed to turn it around with their recent results as well. Like last game they played Wolves and they managed to win 3-0. Now João Pedro has been getting back on the score sheet, but Estavio has adapted really well and fast into the team. Now Estavio is a very bright talent and I think it will develop well at Chelsea. My prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Chelsea. Moving on to Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. Now this game is basically mid versus mid this season. Now let's get started with Liverpool. It's been a rough one for them so far. All their new signings, they don't seem to be making quite the impact. The team is not playing well apart from a few players in the squad, but we got last year's champions sitting in 8th place in the Premier League right now. That's absolutely crazy. Now last game they played Man City and they got smoked 3-0. Now Doku was terrorizing that defense and Liverpool managed only one shot in that match. Coming into this match, maybe they could lose. Who knows? Now on to Nottingham Forest. They're doing quite terribly right now. Ange Postecoglou really set up Sean Dyche because Ange Postecoglou, as we knew, he lost the first 8 games in the Premier League for Nottingham Forest. So Sean Dyche will have to turn it around somehow. But Nottingham Forest at the moment are sitting 19th place in the league, so they need a big turnaround and quite a bit of results in their next few games. Now last game they got a 3-0 win versus Leeds, which is huge. Now Anderson has been fantastic. No wonder he got called up for England. Just a fantastic midfielder, controlling the tempo, technically very good as well. Newcastle made a mistake in selling him. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw. Now Bournemouth versus West Ham, this game could end up being tight. So let's get started with Bournemouth. They have been very impressive this season, but they were within the top 4 before the past 2 matches that unfolded. But last game they lost 4-0 to Aston Villa. Then before that they lost 3-1 to Man City, so that dropped them all the way to 9th place. Semenyo has been one of the main men in this team this season. Now I believe he's a complete winger, and we got some news today that he's gonna be moving from Bournemouth in January. So whether he goes to Tottenham, most likely Arsenal, hopefully Arsenal, Liverpool is another target. We will see where he goes in January time. Now on to West Ham. They've not been the best as well, but their form has been getting better recently with them winning 3-2 against Burnley. Now Nuno Espirito Santo is finding ways to get them wins. I believe eventually they will get out of the relegation zone as well, as they are in 18th place at the moment. They have been a lot better on the offensive side of things, hence more goals being scored by West Ham. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Bournemouth. Moving on to Wolves versus Crystal Palace. This game should be fairly one-sided, so let's get started with Wolves. They've been very bad this season. The worst side in the Premier League this season. I mean, not having a single win in the league just yet. Their form has been absolute shambles as well. Like last game they played Chelsea and they lost 3-0, and they're not good enough on both ends of the pitch. They have appointed Rob Edwards, who used to be at Luton. He's had some experience in the Premier League. During his time at Luton, he did pretty decent with them in the Premier League, but they ended up getting relegated. But maybe he could help turn things around at Wolves. Onto Crystal Palace, they've been a very underrated team this season despite them being sat in 10th place in the league. Now they have some players who are performing very well, players like Munoz, Mateta, who is a proper number 9, proper bagsman in that position. Wharton, incredible player, under pressure he barely gets phased, and he has the ability to break the lines. Now Guehi is a incredible ball playing center back while being very solid defensively. Now all over the pitch they have quality players, but last game they played Brighton and they drew 0-0. Now my prediction for this game is going to be a 3-0 win for Crystal Palace. Moving on to Brighton versus Brentford. Now this game is going to be quite tight, so let's get started with Brighton. They've been doing quite alright. As I say almost every single video, they play some very nice football. Their form has been quite good honestly recently. Like last game they played Crystal Palace and they drew 0-0. But a player that stands out for me is Minte. He has been a standout for many games. He has the ability to run in behind, run past players with his rapid pace while also having the ability to take on his man. Now onto Brentford, you could say one of the most underrated teams this season, although their form has been on and off like recently, but last game they played Newcastle and they won 3-1. Now Igor Thiago, he's been scoring goals for fun honestly. What a incredible signing. He managed to bag a brace in that match against Newcastle. He now has 8 goals in 11 matches for him in his Brentford career. That's a very solid start. But Brentford they had full on dominated that game against Newcastle, which was very surprising, limiting Newcastle to just 1 shot on target all game. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Brentford. Moving on to Fulham versus Sunderland. This game could be quite tight, but let's see what happens in it. So let's get started with Fulham. They have not been the best this season. I've seen them perform quite well in the past few years, but recently I've never seen them perform this bad ever since they got promoted. Honestly, they're currently sat in 15th place, which is a little crazy considering they were around the mid-table area last season. But Fulham did have some good chances, but the big chances, there were no really big chances you could say. But the attack for Fulham, it does not seem to be providing. Defense has been a little off as well. Now onto Sunderland. They have came in and really impressed everyone this season. Newly promoted side coming from the championship, and they're sitting in 4th place. We love to see things like that. We love to see an underdog team, but they did draw against my club Arsenal 2-2 last week. Brian Brobby scoring a late goal to secure a point for Sunderland. You could argue the goal was a high boot, but I don't know what Raya was doing there. He came out to catch the ball and literally left the goal open. If he stayed in position, he probably could have saved it because there were 2 other players on Brobby. Raya's at fault for that one, but Xhaka's came in and commanded this side very well as the captain. He's played a very key role in this team's success so far as well. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-0 win for Sunderland. Moving on to Newcastle versus Man City. This game is going to be a super good one, so let's get started with Newcastle. They've been struggling quite a bit so far, with them being sat in 14th place, which as well, we have not seen Newcastle sit in that place for quite a while. Now looking at their form, it's not been too good recently. Last game they played Brentford and they managed to lose 3-1. Eddie Howe for some reason took off the whole midfield. I don't know why, but Waltamara did not contribute in this game with a goal as well, so he'll probably come back in the next game, maybe against Man City, and score a goal. Who knows? Now on to Man City. They're looking like they're getting stronger and stronger every single game. They've been doing very well this season. They have turned it around, because before I remember they were sitting in like 7th place. Now they jumped up all the way to 2nd place, 4 points behind Arsenal. Now last game they played a huge game versus Liverpool and they smoked them 3-0. Now Haaland of course scoring, Doku had an unreal match as well. Doku was flying past everyone in that game with absolute ease. Then he got a very deserved goal, just cut inside and whipped it top right corner. What a unbelievable winger. I would say potentially he is one of the best wingers in the Premier League at the moment. It's honestly crazy the way he performed against Liverpool. Now my prediction is going to be a 3-1 win for Man City. Moving on to Leeds versus Aston Villa. This game should be going one way. So let's get started with Leeds United. It's been a little bit of a struggle for them. I do think especially defensively with them leaking a lot of goals. Now last game they played Nottingham Forest and they lost 3-1. Now Lucas Nmecha being the only scorer for Leeds United. Now in this game they were playing at home, so this will give them a advantage, especially with the crowd in their own stadium. Now onto Aston Villa. They are doing very well as of recent, especially after a 4-0 win against a very good Bournemouth side. Now it's crazy how they managed to keep Bournemouth quiet, and Bournemouth scored 0 goals in that match. But you had Buendia score a beautiful free kick, Onana with a rocket of a shot going into the bottom left corner. Unai Emery has to get credit for this, for turning their form around, because literally a few match days ago they were sitting in 18th place. But yeah, fair play Unai Emery. Morgan Rogers has been very key in terms of creating chances as well. So everything is going very well for Aston Villa, and I expect them to win this game here, and I see them winning this game 3-0. Moving on to Arsenal versus Tottenham. Now this is the biggest game this week, the North London derby. So let's get started with Arsenal. They're currently the best team in the Premier League, in some very good form coming into this match, sitting top of the league, 4 points clear of second place. Now last game Arsenal faced off against Sunderland and they drew 2-2. As I mentioned before, it was going to be a challenge, but it's such a shame we dropped points as Brobbey scored in the 94th minute. But we still have a very strong defense as we conceded 5 goals in 11 matches so far just this season. A little bit of a downside here. Gabriel got injured for Brazil, so he's most likely going to be out in this match. So we're probably going to see Mosquera or Hincapi take a spot alongside Saliba. I would say most likely Mosquera is going to be playing because he's had experience playing against Liverpool earlier in the season. Now onto Tottenham. They've been doing quite alright, sitting in 5th place under new manager Thomas Frank. Their form has been mostly good as of recent, despite them losing to Chelsea a few weeks ago, and they drew to United 2-2 in their last game. Now Richarlison really thought he got the winner and he took off his shirt. That happened before as well. Then De Ligt got a last minute goal in the 96th minute to secure a draw. So tough one for Richarlison. Now we have not seen Xavi Simons actually performing too well at Spurs. We've barely seen him score goals or get assists, getting involved in the game. It's crazy. I expected a lot more from him, but still, give him a little bit more time to adapt and eventually he's gonna come good, in my opinion. Now my prediction is going to be a 2-1 win for Arsenal. Moving on to Manchester United versus Everton. This game is going to be quite even, I'm not going to lie. Well, in my opinion it is. But let's get started with Man United. They've not been doing too bad, honestly, sitting in 7th place, which is decent considering where they were last season. Now their form recently has been on the up with their solid results. They won 2-1 against Liverpool in October, which is huge. And last game they drew 2-2 to Spurs, and Buemo has finally been chipping in with those goals. Finally, De Ligt secured a point for them in the 96th minute, as I mentioned before, which was absolutely crazy. But on to Everton. They're doing actually alright this season. I would say a very balanced side, both offensively and defensively. Like the addition of Grealish just adds that creativity into the attack. You see him creating a lot of chances, creating just little bits of play as well. It seems like they are creating a lot more with him in this side, and he gets the ball, I feel like, a lot more. Now last game they played Fulham and they won 2-0, which is huge. Pickford was saving a lot of Fulham's chances, which he played a key role in the squad now. And Daya is a player to look out for, and Grealish in this match, but both players could take on their man but also create chances, so both of them very dangerous players. Now my prediction is going to be actually a 3-2 win for Manchester United. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment down below your predictions for these matches, and don't forget to subscribe as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.